Everybody, welcome to Stack Your Points. Thanks for watching and listening. And this is the Friday Q&A segment. So your questions, we answer them, sometimes up to an hour, sometimes it creates its own episode in and of itself. So if you have questions, always feel free to drop them on the YouTube channel or email us at stackyourpoints@gmail.com. But we hope you enjoy this week's Q&A session. Thanks for watching and listening. Welcome back to another episode of Stack Your Points. As always, I'm Matt Clausen from the Matt Clausen YouTube channel. It's Monday night. I am not wearing my hoodie because, damn it, as I was reminded over the weekend, it's not a onesie. Anyway, we are joined this week by RJ from Do You Take Cards. RJ, how are you today?
I don't know how to podcast without Matt in his onesie.
We will learn tonight. Also joined by Lani from the Call Me Lani YouTube channel. Lani, how are you today?
I am wearing my hoodie because I feel safe and comfortable underneath it. Take
Somebody
that how
looked
you wanna.
Somebody looked at the pre-markets this morning and just went, I need comfort. Yep.
Yep.
And finally, we're joined by Tariq from Reek's Rewards. Tariq, how are you today?
I'm good, although there was a major loss in the state of Texas today. Houston lost the national championship at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio because Ted Cruz can't keep his mouth shut.
I'm glad we're blaming Ted Cruz and not, ball handling skills.
It's the Cruz curse. He opened his mouth and started making a bet. The last time he did it was Texas, Ohio State in the basketball. The Ted Cruz curse is real.
I'm going to say something that gets said a lot at hockey games. Stupidly said at hockey games, but in this case, it would work. Shoot the ball. Anyway, we're going to jump into viewer questions. I didn't even actually watch the game, and I know more about how it ended than anything else. We're going to jump into our listener questions. We're going to start this week with our question from Double Animal Fries, our favorite In-N-Out contributor to the podcast and to the Stack Your Points Discord. They ask, what is your worst travel fail? What are your tips for dealing with travel disruptions? We will go to our resident travel correspondent, Lani, for the first answer on this one.
To be completely honest, I can't think of a travel fail in my definition of a fail, that is. One is, how are we going to define travel fail? Because
yes,
I wouldn't necessarily call a travel disruption a travel fail. So I don't know if I can answer the worst travel fail part. I rented a car once and then it got paint, it hit something and got paint transfer, so I took it to an AutoZone and just gave the dude $10 and he buffed it out. Then I just returned the car and never heard from it again, the rental car company. I don't know if that counts as a travel fail, but that was pretty bad. I was actually pretty worried because I didn't get insurance on that car. Anyway, my tips for dealing with travel disruptions is I plan for the worst. I honestly leave the house thinking the absolute worst could happen today. Not plane's gonna go down or flip over on the tarmac or nothing. Not to that extent. But I'm gonna get there. Though. Yeah, right. It's not too far off. It's just I haven't imagined that yet. For me, so by planning for the worst and being prepared for the worst, it kind of makes the travel disruptions a little bit easier. So it's if my flight's gonna be delayed, I already know how I'm gonna handle that. I know which numbers I'm gonna call, my case, United, to get that taken care of. I keep all of my reservation IDs and hotel numbers saved into my phone. So if something were to happen, I can easily call and be like, hey, I'm gonna be late or whatever. There's been times where I'm supposed to check in on a Thursday, and because of disruption, I couldn't check in until a Friday. So I was already planned or prepared for that to happen. Other than that, it's understanding what you get during a travel disruption. So how did you pay, which airline, what the airlines or hotels are meant there to offer you. So for example, you owe me a food voucher. You owe me $50 for me to go to the food court. Like understanding that. Or after a certain amount of time, you owe me cash back, especially Secretary Pete. But after he did such a great job, like, yeah, you owe me $500. I know what 25% of the full price cost of my ticket is, and this is what you owe me in cash. By understanding those things, I sometimes sit around waiting for it now just so I can make sure I get every single penny or every single dollar, every single perk, whatever, especially if it's an overnight. The airline should be paying for my hotel, which is not necessarily new, but not necessarily required. Just a lot of gray there. But make sure you get your hotel during those types of disruptions, all sorts of stuff. Or if you're at a regional airport, so this applies to like Matt, A, and RJ, if they can't fly to your regional airport, they can either give you a charter bus or they can rent a car for you. Like that's also built into airline FCC regulations or whatever you want to call them, as well, depending on the scenario. It happens in Chicago O'Hare all the time. That's how I know about it. But yeah, that's how I deal with it. Just being, prepared for the worst and pre-educating myself with, all those perks and benefits that no one ever wants to read.
One of the best use cases for LLMs I can think of is making sure that you get those condensed to something that you understand while still applying to the letter of what they say.
Yeah, 100%. And that actually goes even double for rental cars. So I'm pretty sure everyone listening, watching, however you're consuming this episode this right now, has rented a car at some point. You get to the counter and they ask you for what type of rental insurance you want on one sheet of paper, but it doesn't actually tell you everything it covers. But there's 3 different kinds of rental insurance. It's like if you want all full coverage, you got to check this box, this box, this box. It's like insurance A, insurance B covers this, insurance C covers this. But the thing is you really hardly ever need all 3. That's why rental insurance is kind of a scam. I'm not going to say it's a scam. It's an actual service that it provides a benefit, but it's kind of a scam. If you actually know what it is that you need, then you wouldn't need to check all 3. They're not going to tell you. Probably the person behind the counter doesn't even know. They're just meant to sell it so they can get, a commission upgrade or commission payout or something of that nature. I don't know. I've never worked at a rental car company, but I had a friend that did once. And he said, don't ever buy the insurance. I don't even know what it covers. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But as Matt had mentioned, if you are going to pay for that, what are you actually covered for? But even more so, as credit card enthusiasts, do you know what your rental car actually covers? Have you actually sat down and read what your Chase card or your Amex card actually covers? And if not, I recommend that you go do that. And if you can't, like he said, put it in an LLM, pop it into Gemini, Chat GPT, DeepSeek, whatever AI you want to use to have it summarize it for you, and you're one step more educated.
Yeah, one of these days I'm going to take all of those guide to benefits and just like throw them into an LLM with the instruction. Explain to me like I'm 5. Explain to me like I'm a 5th grader. Just whatever to help me go through that. RJ, have you had any big travel fails or any tips for dealing with travel disruptions?
So I was thinking about this one and I was reminded right after I got out of high school, the year after I got out of high school, a friend of mine and I planned a trip in February. There is a leap day in February of 2008.
Mm-hmm.
We did not account for the leap day in February of 2008. So we booked a ticket for March 1st and I showed up at the airport on March 29th or on February 29th. Thankfully, it was the good way and I was just a day early, so I just had to go home and be like, just kidding. But,
Oops.
guess what? I'm home tonight. But it was, you're right out of high school. You're, kind of sort of in college, but you're not, thinking too hard about things. And we went, oh, there's another day before this trip. guess what? Thankfully, the trip went off fine, but it's one of those moments that you sort of forget about until something else triggers it, and you go, "Oh yeah, that did happen, didn't it?" So that was one of the ones I was thinking about recently. So good timing for this question. As far as how do I deal with travel disruptions, like I am one of those people that like I get to the airport early. I know what I'm entitled to if something goes wrong. Like I'm out of a regional airport. Like I don't have any options, right? Once I'm there, I'm basically there. Like I'm not leaving the airport to go like do something else and come back because my airport, that's not worth it, right? It's not. Um,
Also, it's Albany.
it's also Albany. So there's that. I mean, I could go to like the mall, but like why? Half of the mall's
You'd also
gone
go
now.
egg the legislators.
I mean, I could, but that's on the other side. Like
Yeah,
it's not even remotely close to it. Anyway,
they deserve it
um,
though.
yeah. Anyway, now that I'm not committing crimes by throwing projectiles at the New York State Legislature, so once I'm there, right? So I have like I have my tech kit that I travel with, so I have all of the necessary equipment to like just chill out in a corner and watch Netflix or whatever I want to do, if there's delays and stuff. So I think generally, just like Lonnie said, preparation, knowing what you're entitled to. Um, Usually on the way back, if there's a delay, I ride it out. I also always plan a day extra coming home. So if I come home on a Sunday, I take that Monday off from work, right? Just so if something does go wrong, I'm not also having to call into work, right? I'm taking a day, making sure things go, if they go wrong, I still have some time to get back before, duties and obligations and all that. So I think preparation is really the key to avoid it because, like, you can't stop delays. You can control, like, make sure you booked the right. There are multiple hotels that are called, Hilton or whatever in a city. Make sure you booked the right one. Make sure you have the right address. Make sure you, do all of that. And then sort of go from there.
All sage advice. Tariq, any travel fails? Any other tips you want to throw in for travel disruptions?
So for the most part, my travel, the little bit that I have done, has been fairly smooth. The only closest thing that I kind of had to a fail was actually the last trip I did, and that was just getting to the airport too early. I think I got there like 3.5 hours, which is usually no big deal, but my airport, there's no lounge, and it was Terminal A, San Antonio Airport. If you were on the Stack Your Points Discord, you heard me gripe about it. It was very crowded. It was very busy the time that we flew, and there was very little seating and lines everywhere for food. So I just sat for 3 hours, just grumpy, waiting for my flight.
If you
Because
had 3 hours, why not go to Terminal B where it's less crowded and just like find a corner for 2 hours and then walk over to Terminal A?
because that's the great thing about San Antonio International Airport. There's no airside connection between Terminal A and Terminal B, and I didn't feel like leaving the restricted area.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah, they're just now
rough.
figuring out that it's a good idea to have airside connections within the terminals, but that won't be done for probably another 3 years. So, good job, San Antonio. By the way, they just had the Final Four this weekend. So, maybe they'll get it right for the women's Final Four in 4 years.
Doubt it.
Yeah, city I love, but their planning is not great. Anyway, regarding travel disruptions, I kind of resonate with what RJ and to that extent, like basically what Lani said, just preparing when you're booking your flight, if you know you don't live in a hub airport and you're not getting like a direct connection flight, like a nonstop, find what can give you like the good amount of layover in case like your initial flight has a delay, because God forbid, you're flying somewhere like American and you're connecting in Charlotte, they're going to have a gate change and it's going to be on the other like a turn on the other side of the airport. So just preparing for that, knowing your insurances, protections on your cards, and all that good jazz. I don't really have much because I don't travel much. So maybe when I get more well seasoned on traveling, I can answer that to the extent of Lani.
Makes sense. Biggest travel fail, also like it's not a fun travel story, but if you remember a couple weeks back we had Kid Kat on the show and he mentioned that Utah has like vast stretches of nothing. Well, when you're driving across Utah for the first time and you don't know that Utah has vast stretches of nothing, and you have it in your head, oh, I'm on an interstate, there'll be services pretty much at every. No. So what I did that was stupid was I was driving from Denver to Elko, Nevada, because I had planned this road trip right after the 2012 campaign cycle. And I was like, I just need to get out to California as quickly as possible. I was going to do these 12-hour stretches of driving. So like Denver to Elko was about 13 and a half hours. So whatever. But my plan was to do this. And as soon as I crossed into Utah, I get to one of the first exits, and this exit has services, and I notice I'm low on gas, and I'm like, okay, I'll just go one more exit, and I'll be fine. So I get off at the next exit. The next exit, I proceed to drive up, and my gas light has turned on, so it's telling me, hey, you have a certain amount of miles before everything goes away. I pull up Gas Buddy, which was a brand new app on the iPhone at the time. And Gas Buddy tells me, yeah, there's nothing for about 80 miles. My car said, you have about 50 miles of gas left. When I say I did the most economical drive ever, and I am so lucky that there is nothing in the Mountain West when you're on the roads, just vast nothingness. I put my car in cruise control. I had it at a very set speed. I yelled at anyone who had me tap my brake for any reason whatsoever. I was just in, this car is not stopping until either the gas runs out or I somehow find a gas station. About an hour later, I finally crept into a gas station. I had no idea where I was in relation to I-76, which I was, or I-80. Was it 80? No, it's 76 because 80 is up in Cheyenne. No idea where I was in relation to that highway. I was like, okay, best thing I can do now to get to Elko is just like follow my GPS. But first, gas. So, biggest travel fail, not knowing that Utah has vast stretches of nothingness.
Question before you answer the second part of it. Did you drive without the AC on, windows up? Like AC turned off, windows up, as well as your economical driving?
AC off, windows up. It's November, so I'm not super worried about the heat. Cruise control on, doing everything in my power. Like if I'm lowering the speed, I'm doing it via the cruise control. I'm not doing it via tapping on the brake, and doing everything I can not to tense up to try and like hit the gas.
Yeah, when that gas light comes on, that's just all the anxiety. I never let my car get below a quarter tank for that reason. Maybe an eighth if I'm stretching it.
What's a gas tank?
Har.
Oh, you think that's funny? Try being his position in an electric car. You're screwed.
Yeah.
You are super screwed. There's also not a lot of hills in Utah, so you can't even drive downhill.
Well, the problem is it was like all uphill the way I was going.
Ooh. That's brutal.
But now that everyone has gone, I actually have a similar, I'm going to call it a travel fail because RJ sparked this. Never travel on daylight savings time day.
Yeah.
Wait, spring forward or fall back?
Does it matter?
It doesn't matter.
I'm just curious.
Bad. They're both bad. One is slightly worse than the other, but they're both bad. Let's just say there was one time where this was before like well, I'm not going to say I wore my digital watch. There was a time in my life where I did wear regular old fashioned analog hand watches, whatever you want to call it. Yep, one of those, RJ. And it was daylight savings. That was my main timepiece. And I barely made my flight because I thought I had an extra hour and I did not.
Ooh.
Digital watches now. And my phone is my main timepiece because no matter where I'm at, that sucker's always the right time. Except for on a cruise ship time. Your phone does not update for that. And it's not always the same time. It's usually the time in which the cruise leaves from the port in which the cruise leaves. But even then, sometimes they have their own cruise ship time. Just a little extra sprinkle for you guys that want to get on those big old ships.
Time zones are just a made up construct anyway.
Not really. Daylight savings time is a made up construct.
That is true.
But the farmers.
Benjamin Franklin wasn't a farmer.
Well, really, it was about coal. But anyway.
Benjamin Franklin wasn't a miner.
No, he wasn't. He was something else. Printer, businessman, diplomat.
RJ's giving us that
Quasi-diplomat.
look. We got to move on, Matt.
Sorry. Anyway,
I was actually setting my analog watch to atomic time.
Oh, okay. There we go. And tips for me for dealing with any travel disruptions. Prepare for the things that are on you. Have your extra chargers. Make sure that you've got whatever you're going to need as a failsafe. As long as you've got yourself covered, the things that you can't control, you can't control. So as long as you can control that which you can, you're going to be fine. And just like stay cool, know what you can get, what you're entitled to, have everything there. So in the off chance something happens, you got yourself covered. So we'll move to our next question. It comes from frequent contributor of questions, AP, who asks, what airlines or hotels and related programs are prime candidates for acquisitions in your opinions? So I'm going to throw to RJ on this one.
Southwest is going to be bought by several companies. Their routes are going to be divvied up to the main three, and maybe JetBlue will get one or two. Like Southwest is like they're dangling Southwest out in front of like the Megalodon enclosure in some sci-fi movie. That's what they're doing right now. It's just dripping blood into the water. Like it's a really nice like Spielberg shot of like just the beginning of Jurassic Park. It's not pretty. Other than that, I don't know. I think we're headed to a really interesting time, which we'll get to in a couple of places later in the podcast. And I think some of the programs are going to hunker down and not necessarily want to join up as easily as they have in the past. But Southwest is the one that springs to mind just simply because they're kind of advertising that they want to have somebody pay boatloads of money and sell off assets.
That's fair. Tariq, any opinions here?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to say that one airline that Elliott Investment Management bought a big share of, because they're just basically decimating the airline and taking away their identity. So I see within the next 2 to 3 years, Southwest is either going to get bought out or they're going to file for bankruptcy, because that's just what those companies do to brands. So rest in peace, Southwest. You had a good run. Should have just updated your servers or your systems so you wouldn't be in this mess.
I was about to say their name, but I see you did.
RJ already said it, so of course.
Lani, any thoughts here? Airlines, hotels, anybody a prime candidate for acquisition in your opinion?
Well, not for hotels, because hotels get traded and bought all the time. Like Sometimes you
Yeah.
never know like who owns Candlewood Suites. Um,
Usually a property management company.
um, as for airlines, I don't want to keep beating the same dead horse with Southwest, but I can
You
see
did.
them getting acquired. But also maybe even Frontier, and some of the direct flight like specific locations. They only fly on Wednesday and Sunday type airlines like Allegiant, Frontier. They only fly from one area to a major destination. Like it only goes from your regional airport to Orlando type of airlines. I can see that, but other than that, not too much more here in the US. It would be pretty cool to see like an international airline come in and just start buying up some of these US routes or some of these US airlines. I think that would be pretty cool. That'd shake the game up
Norse Airways buys Frontier.
with a 25% tariff. Yep.
Um, that would be something. Um, so before I throw it to RJ for a follow up, just real quick, airlines, I can see Spirit absolutely getting acquired. They just their CEO just left effective today. Not sure if this was a firing like Air Baltic CEO or if this
Nobody wants
was,
Spirit. Nobody wants Spirit.
well, they could use the assets, the planes
They're
and
gonna,
stuff like that.
they're gonna sell it for parts and bet it in Vegas. No one wants Spirit.
The problem is you can bet the company in Vegas and win. FedEx did that. Um, true story.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, before I get sidelined on that one. Spirit, I can definitely see getting sold. Frontier, maybe if the moves that they're making to like make a semi more premium product fail, they could definitely be sold. Southwest, I think, is the panel's consensus pick for getting sold. Then I don't know. JetBlue's on really shaky ground. JetBlue could get acquired by United or American. Um, we'll see. Hotels, given property management companies' proclivities for things, I don't see too many. Like you'll see partnerships change, but I don't see like Marriott being in a position where it would need to sell. It's too big. Same with Hilton, same with IHG. Hyatt is asset light, so they're not in a position, they're not ever going to be in a position where they have to sell off assets or sell them and like go into um going private and selling. So hotel, if there was a hotel brand, I don't know, Sonesta maybe. But what are you really getting with Sonesta? Not much. So we'll see. Both RJ, you had some quick follow up here.
Yeah, so you know how like AT&T and Verizon have like their, now they have their like prepaid version. I almost wonder if like in the future, like Delta will partner with like Frontier or whatever, and they'll have sort of the, upper tier, lower tier version. Maybe it won't be, quite as direct as what like the phone manufacturers are doing, but I could see either them creating their own sort of second tier or just partnering straight up with another company and sort of having it be a more direct way because more people are trying to fly cheaper and then more people are trying to fly better. You know what I mean? Like it sort of is stratifying, and if these companies want to make money, they need to be on both ends of that. So I do wonder if something like the phone idea might come to flight at some point.
Yeah, like I
So
can't remember. Somebody did that. I can't remember who, but that was not like a. It's not like a novel thing, and it's gonna kill me until I can figure out what airline did that.
To be completely honest, I just want airlines to, especially these US ones, to start buying the larger planes, especially for the long haul domestic flights. San Francisco to New York, um, Atlanta to Hawaii. Like, I understand there is absolutely no point for us to have an A380 here in the US, but the simple fact of having one if American had one or United or Delta and they went from JFK to London, like, please, like, there is room for it. There is space for it. And for y'all that, fly from major airports to major airports cross country, like a few of us do, um, it wouldn't be so crowded and we could have less overcrowding on the plane
Yep.
because we'll have. I mean, it's a win-win for the company. Yes, I understand. No, Boeing. I mean, not Boeing. Airbus is not building A380s anymore. They're not selling them anymore. You can buy them used. Almost every plane that you've been on was bought used. Let's just be real. Maybe not a couple from United that was previously owned by Boeing. Another trivia fact for y'all that didn't know that from back in the day. So yeah, like, can we get just some bigger planes to like take some of the weight off of some of this air traffic that we also have? And then also I want to go back to RJ because I totally agree with her that Jurassic Park is one of the best intros in movies in modern years. It's right up there with Belly. I don't know if anyone's seen Belly. Hype Williams directed it. It has DMX and Nas in it. All right, y'all need to go watch that intro. That was a great movie intro. But I'm going to go ahead and say that The Dark Knight, Christopher Nolan with Christian Bale Batman, is probably one of the best movie intros in the history of time. It was just so good. That intro alone just sets it off. All right, I'm done.
A380 could be fun, transcontinental. A350s would be cool. Transcontinental. That's the newer wide body. Like, transcontinental should be wide body. Like, just because you can fly an Airbus A220 or an A319 cross country does not mean you should. Same with a 737 MAX 8 or MAX 9 or 800. No. Give us just a little bit of space.
And that's my thing. It's like, if you don't mind flying a Dreamliner across the country, but you will fly that exact same plane to Asia, to Singapore, like, come on.
From New York.
Yeah. It's okay to buy a bigger plane and have less cross-country flights that are just more full. And like I said, take some of this air traffic out of the way, give us a better luxury experience. But buy more planes and have more flights. I don't care. I'm not in that business. I'm not in that world. I don't know how all of it works. I'm just saying, bigger planes wouldn't be such a bad idea.
No, I would be fine with your ever increasing fuel costs if you let me sit on a bigger plane. Oh, and RJ, if you were thinking like something like Delta buying Frontier and Frontier being like the direct booking for Delta Express or whatever their connecting services, Delta Connects, whatever it's called.
I saw two things that Delta did that was like they had Delta Shuttle back in the early 90s. And then they also had their own low-cost carrier back in 2003 called Song.
Song?
Yes, Song. Okay. Also, Delta filed bankruptcy in 2005. So that was probably not the good idea for that low-cost airline thing.
There was some turbulence in the early 2000s in different markets that may have contributed to that without the low-cost carrier being the problem. You're a little young to remember that.
Only thing I remember from the early 2000s was actually Crank That Soldier Boy and the Spurs winning championships.
Yeah.
No, I remember a thing that kind of turned people off air travel for a little while. Anyway, yeah, that didn't help. So yeah, we'll see what happens, but it's more likely to be airlines than hotels just because who's going to buy Sonesta? Not me. We'll move to our next question. It comes from a friend of the show, Keith, who asks, how do you think international travelers boycotting the US and new tariffs will affect this hobby and the travel industry? Not to get super political in the answer, but it is a thing that is happening. So Tariq, do you think that international boycotts will affect the hobby and the travel industry as a whole?
So I think of it in like two different things. So like when it comes to international travelers boycotting the US, if it's like the international destinations, yeah, it's gonna hurt, and it's where they're just not gonna have the outcomes. Now, if it's just one of those things where it's just gonna be less expensive because less people are flying, that might be an incentive or a bonus. Um, but it just kind of depends on like what side of the coin that it's on. If it's probably leaning more towards the former, so probably won't be a lot of the oh, I use 100,000. I use the 100,000 UR bonus on the Sapphire Preferred to go fly to the Maldives for a week because they don't want you there. Regarding the tariffs, yes, things are going to get more expensive, which could be a good thing in regards to point earnings. The cards stay the same because if you're going to spend more money, you're going to earn more points. Now, if you can afford it, great. For those that you can't, it is going to suck. But if people just use their cards for the intended categories, they could essentially start earning more points as a result of that. And for cards like the Hilton Surpass, where you got to spend $15,000 to earn the free night certificate, it might make it a little easier. But that's if you can afford it. If you can't, don't even bother playing the game because you're going to be knocking on the door of credit card debt. And once you start paying interest, you start losing the game.
That's fair. RJ, international boycotts, tariffs, travel
So
industry.
here's a slight hiccup for the people aren't going to come to the US. One of the reasons people come to the US is for sporting events. These are the sporting events in the next decade that the US is hosting. The FIFA 2026 World Cup, the
Which you
Los
should boycott on
Angeles,
principle.
the Olympic Games in LA, the Men's Rugby World Cup in 31, the Women's Rugby World Cup in 33, the Winter Games in 34. The FIFA Women's World Cup is also likely to be in the US in 31 or 34. That hasn't been announced yet, but it's likely. So you have a bunch of major sporting events, plus you have the Super Bowl, you have the NBA Finals, World Series, all of that, right? So the problem with the idea that people aren't going to come to the US is like normal travel is probably going to slow down, but because the US hosts these major events, you're going to get more in those major events because they're major events. Like people are going to come to the FIFA World Cup. Like whether you think they should, your version of is FIFA totally corrupt or just merely mostly corrupt,
Also,
will
yes.
impact, right? Like FIFA gonna FIFA. But people are going to come to that, right? People from all over the world are going to come to that. Like the US in the way that the World Cup works is it's all over the US. It's not like LA, which is mostly in LA, and then you have like Oklahoma City hosting a couple events. It's across the entire country. So all of the major hubs are going to get a ton of people in. So I think I think it'll be a downturn on the, random person from Germany or random person from Spain or whatever just coming to the US on vacation, because they hear sort of the horror stories of TSA just, being extra TSA, or private security if that ever happens. But the uptick from those big events that are being hosted in the US is going to cancel it out, and probably tilt it in a positive direction in terms of total travelers. So I don't know, other than I think that those major events and when those major events are, because you have 26 and 28, and then you have all of the pre stuff in 27 and the second half of this year for those events, it's going to mask the numbers in a way that if the US wasn't hosting the 26 and 28 events, we would see, I think, be a lot lower.
Yeah, unless there's a final consciousness globally about how bad FIFA and the IOC are. I don't see those things changing.
I
We're
don't
also
see FIFA like FIFA is cartoonishly evil, but people really love soccer.
yep,
So you can't and unfortunately the way it's structured you can't do one without both on sort of an international scale. Like the
yeah,
IOC has to work with FIFA for the soccer in the Olympics. Like the reason that the men's tournament is 23 and younger with like 3 above 23 players is because FIFA says so. So
yeah.
it's not there's no way to have soccer at an international scale without FIFA. Literally it's not legal.
No, I understand that. It's just both are horrifyingly corrupt. Um, that's all. Um, yeah, I think we'll see a downturn in normal travel, like RJ said, but FIFA, the IOC, F1, there are F1 events that will bring people in. Like Vegas becomes an F1 track every year. There's the Grand Prix in Miami, and there's at least one or two other major F1 races, part of the US part of the F1 tour. So, and that is yearly. That is not set up every couple years. So that will help as well. Um, I think we'll see dips in international travel. What we're seeing a lot of is a drop in demand in international travel, and that is going to lead to some things. But we could see, I think, was tourism in some states is like up to $100 billion in those states. If those states are targeted with not vacationing there, or if international travelers become very selective in what places in the US they're going to vacation, like let's say they typically vacation, I don't know, Florida, but for reasons they choose not to go to Florida and instead vacation in California. California will get the money that Florida was you could usually rely on. Um, Florida, big international travel spot for spring break. Don't know what spring break looked like this year, but spring break was before all of this started. So if this is still going on next year, spring break would be an indicator of just how bad things may be. Um, we'll have to see for the rest of this year, but yeah, the major events coming, those will certainly help. Um, Lani, any final thoughts here?
Yeah, you almost stole a lot of my thunder there. Because I was going to say, if anything, I would actually see it affecting tourism. There is a lot of tourism. Our country is heavily dependent on tourism, and there are pockets that are even more heavily dependent on tourism. It's literally how their economies are made. I think, like Hawaii, the state of Hawaii by itself is like 40% on just tourists. Might even
Yep.
be higher than that. And then we have, well, you already mentioned California and Florida, but like California, San Francisco, Los Angeles, heavy tourism spots, heavy tourism economies. Yes, I know entertainment industries, tech industries, respectively, but tourism, let's just be real.
Pacific
Um,
Coast Trail.
yep. Um, Florida, you have Panama City, Daytona, Tampa, Orlando, Miami, tourism, heavy tourism. And let's not forget Vegas and New York City,
Yep.
where Vegas is almost like all tourism. Uh,
Yep.
Vegas is 15% locals, 85% tourists. don't not don't quote me on those numbers. I'm just making something up on that point. But it's, as you can tell, it's heavily tourism. Now, as for some of the other effects when it comes to that, from a domestic standpoint, this could bring costs down. If tourism starts to fall, then yeah, costs will come down and we'll start seeing deals in Vegas. Hey, you can come get free, not a free weekend, but like a really cheap weekend in Vegas because the city's not going anywhere and they still need to make money. So they're going to start engaging us domestically to, you'll start seeing the what happens in Vegas ads all over again. Don't act like you don't remember those. It was
Yep.
pretty bad, but they were out there, right? When Vegas was down, every time Vegas is down. Um, Now, I wouldn't necessarily say it will get to a point where it's so bad where we'll see a needle drop. For example, let's use Manhattan. Is Manhattan ever gonna have not have enough tourists where we'll see like deals in Manhattan prices change? No, it's always gonna have there's always gonna be 40 something million people on that island or whatever you want to call it, where it will not be enough. So even if international tourists don't want to come to New York, there's still going to be enough people in New York and around New York and domestically traveling to New York that New York will still be up. Now, economy wise, the tourism economy might come down, but not enough for it to hit our pockets where we might be able to feel it or see it. And last but not least, yes, international tourists are I've been international already a couple times this year, and we are an absolute joke across the pond. I'm not even gonna lie. We are when people talk to me and they're like, "Oh, you're from America?" And I'm like, you're gonna ask me about our government, aren't you?" Like it's just we are a joke. And don't watch the news. I was actually upset watching the news when I was in Spain a couple of weeks, month or whatever ago, last month. Yeah, that was last month. It's April now because they are just laughing at us, ripping us apart. But the thing is, human beings, we love drama. We love it. We can't live without it. We can't just be happy or just let the negative stuff die. Look at our government. Because if someone's screaming for help, instead of like, what do you need? We pull out our phones and start recording it first. Like, we just love drama. And I'll say this because I get to see and meet and hang out with international folks in my professional life quite often. Oh, they are coming just to see if what they're hearing across in their home countries is real. So I still think they're going to come over here because they want to see exactly how bad it is. Is it as bad as the news is saying in their countries? I think we'll be okay, but I'm not going to say that it's not going to affect us, Keith. It will affect us in some way. But how it will affect us, I can't necessarily put my finger on. But in a couple of those those points that I just made, I think we're going to get at least one out of three of those for sure.
Yeah. As long as, well, I do think there will be a bit of a hit to normal international travelers if stories like hikers being disappeared become more and more relevant, because it's happened and it may continue to happen, and there may be calls just to like not travel for leisure here, which would be horrifying. But
It's also
to
gonna, oh, I'm sorry.
no,
It's
go ahead.
also gonna hit different groups harder. Like
Yep.
if you're, part of the queer community, there are already international organizations saying don't go to the US if you don't have to.
Yep.
There are certain other groups that are already getting that, not just like the hey, be careful, but the do not go, like trans people especially are being told from other countries, don't go to the US right now. Like just straight up, do not go to the United States right now, because of some of the things that have happened, just like trying to gain entry into the country. So I think that that's part of the problem, right? Is like the general person from a European country that has money and is, affluent enough where they feel like they're okay, like that travel might not stop, right? Because they have the feeling of protection because they can, just come over. But if you're part of a class that is particularly targeted right now, if you're Muslim, if you're part of the queer community, if you're part of any group like that, those are the people who are going to stay away the most out of everybody, where it is going to be a lot harder to pull those numbers out saying that, that stopped because we don't necessarily know how much of that specific group was coming to begin with.
Yeah. Overall, probably fine. But to international viewers or listeners of the Stack Your Points podcast, come to New York. Go to California. Go to Minnesota.
Yeah, come to California. You'll fit right in. We don't know if you're from here or not.
Yeah. Go to Illinois.
That's not a joke. I'm being dead serious.
You can keep going to Virginia.
If you're going to go to Texas, San Antonio is a safe one for now.
I was going to say avoid Texas because I was running with a theme of the states that I had named. Go to Maryland. Enjoy Ocean City.
Hey, I live in one of those cities that's dependent on tourism. You name me 3 things that San Antonio, like when you think of San Antonio, what's the word associations y'all have with that city?
Alamo.
Spurs.
Fast track.
Also the Riverwalk.
San and Antonio.
And also big old women. But no, literally Alamo and Riverwalk. That's
you said that out loud, sir.
Come on. Again, I just finished watching the Final Four, for crying out loud.
For all the big old women that are listening or watching this episode, you are appreciated. Please hit that subscribe button.
Yeah. So Keith, a bit of a mixed bag. We'll see what happens, but probably the numbers will look a little bit fudged. Hopefully by the time that we host the Rugby World Cup, things will be a little bit better. Geez, how did we land the Rugby World Cup?
I was just about to say that one threw me off.
The men's and the women's.
Oh, I know why. Because we did really well in the last World Cup, and like now the Rugby Association wants us to grow the game.
Didn't we was it that the women's team had like an upset or something?
Well, Philadelphia's already got the tush push, so we could get some rugby players off of them.
We'll tell your Packers to stop complaining about it so we can keep it.
No, thank you.
Ban it. Anyway, we'll move to our next question that comes from RJ's favorite question asker, Thick Boy, just because I have to say it on air and watch her laugh. Thick Boy asks, if you were to do a 2-card setup, what would you pick and why? And I will throw to Lani again to start this one off.
I feel like I've answered this question before. I got 2 options. And they're both 100% realistic options. The first would be my favorite beginner 2-card setup, which is my Chase Sapphire Reserve and United Mileage Plus Explorer card. Literally, I could just stop there. I didn't, but I could have. But now that I have, started doing my research, getting into more hotel cards and fallen, I won't say deeply in love, but we're having a moment, my Hilton Aspire card and I know it's cost $700, y'all, but the Aspire Surpass combo is really just all you need. It literally just checks all the boxes. It's all you need. And if you don't want to do Surpass, you could just do Honors Aspire as well. You're going to miss out on maybe 1 or 2 Hilton points per transaction. Big whoop. You're not going to get a free night certificate from 15K on the Surpass. Big whoop. Those aren't all they're cracked out to be if you're an avid traveler anyway, by the way. I said it, and I'm going to stand by it. But still, Honors, Aspire, Surpass, Aspire, the only 2 cards you really need. They could check off so many boxes for you and get you from point A to point B. Yes, you might have to come out of pocket for your flights, but everything else you could probably get taken care
of. No. Both are really solid setups. RJ, your 2-card setup, what would you pick and why?
So Lani stole one of my answers, or part of one of my answers. Surpass, because it's just like it covers so much. Like that online shopping category is just such a nice category. So Surpass, and then if you are a traveler but tend to do more like hotels and stuff, like you're doing transit, you're doing dining, things like that, go with the green. If you're doing a lot of flying and want lounge access and the credits make sense for you, go with the platinum. So Surpass plus either platinum or green, depending on what specifically you're doing as part of your travel. For me, I would go platinum and Surpass.
Strong combo. Tariq, any particular 2-card setup strike your fancy and why?
So, as someone that, utilizes Chase heavily, yeah, Lani's combination of the Sapphire Reserve and Explorer is a really great one. If you want to just stick to just straight transferable and you just want to keep your setup simple, the Sapphire Reserve and then the Freedom Unlimited is a pretty decent one, just because you can just put most of your spend on the Freedom Unlimited, and then you have your travel credit for the Sapphire Reserve. You have lounge access with Priority Pass. You have the Sapphire lounges coming in, and you can use that $300 travel credit towards pretty much anything. Chase's $300 travel credit, from what I've heard, watching Lani's video, subtle plug there about that video. Just it's the simplest, easiest street travel credit, and it's basically good for anything. Chase codes travel is whatever. Anything that you would even think is travel. Like if you think it's a remote anything to travel, it is travel according to Chase. So
spoiler alert, Tariq just said simple. You got to watch the video to understand that. All right, keep going.
So yeah, that's probably just the kind of the easy, straightforward, and you want to get you still want elevated travel perks, but a simplistic setup using the partners that Chase has.
Thanks, Tariq. You just acknowledge how simple it really is. I should do that again. I should make a video like that again. That was a fun video.
Oh, definitely. So for me, I would definitely be using the Sapphire Reserve. Sapphire Reserve is just a fantastic card. It gets way too much hate. That is very much undeserved. But anyway, pairing it, I watched another channel, Rich with Points, and Rich with Points did the best 2-card duos. And I think he ended up with utilizing his website, and the video was posted today. Shout out to Rich with Points and his website. I believe he ended up on something like the Sapphire, either it was the Sapphire Reserve and the Venture X, or the American Express Gold Card and the Venture X. And the potential earnings that you can do with that were really, really impressive. I could see myself going with something like the Sapphire Reserve, and maybe not the Venture X, maybe just the Venture, because you get 90% of the Venture X with the Venture anyway. You get the base 2x earnings. If 2x earnings is what you need, you're going to get the extra global entry credit. So for a simplistic cover everything at least 2x and still travel in style, I could definitely see myself doing something like the Sapphire Reserve and the Venture X. Or, sorry, the Venture, not the Venture X. Same 2x multiplier, 90% of what you need. So, that was a really interesting video from Rich. RJ, if you can find it, if you wouldn't mind throwing it in the description.
If I remember it as I go to write the description for this, I will add it. How's that?
All right. That's fair. All right. So we'll move over to our next question. It comes from Jared T, who asks, before any refresh, if the banks go crazy and make amazing cards, what would you most want out of any refresh or new release from each major bank? Tariq, what would you want to see from each of the major banks in a new amazing card?
They Sapphire preferred, make it a card worth putting spend on. And that could just mean anything, whether it's 1.5x mobile wallet, adding a 3x grocery, adding a 3x travel, which would bump the Sapphire Reserve to maybe 4 or 5x travel. Something. Get rid of the travel credit for hotels, maybe do it for airlines, similar to what the Autograph Journey does. Just something. Just make the Sapphire preferred worth putting spend on aside from you have 50, like you have both freedoms and the Sapphire Preferred, so you're running 3x dining and everything, and you're just going to put it on the Sapphire Preferred to get that 0.1x extra. Make it a card worth putting spend on. Even the online streaming is good, but realistically, how many people have like enough spend to make that streaming category worthwhile? So that would just be the one. Make the Sapphire Preferred a card that people aren't just tempted or aren't just opening up, myself included, to funnel all my ultimate reward points to Chancellor partners.
Make the Sapphire preferred again.
Yes.
Immediate disagreement from Lani on that one. Sorry.
That would mean, Lani, that would mean that the Sapphire Reserve also gets better, because if the Sapphire Preferred improves, there's going to be why would I get the Sapphire Reserve aside from lounge access? So improving the Sapphire Preferred could improve the Sapphire Reserve in that respect as well.
Oh, I didn't have a problem with you, Tariq. I had a problem with Matt.
Yeah, the problem wasn't with you. The problem was with me. What did I say?
We know what you said, and I think at that point I might ruffle some feathers. Just we'll say that.
That's all right. I'm gonna go deal with Ozma anyway. Lani, any bank go crazy new release from any of the banks? What would you want to see?
I want to see lower annual fees that make sense versus what they try to offer you in credits. Now, that's just me being facetious. That's never actually going to happen. But I would like to see Chase add a grocery category. Pick a card, any card, just add a grocery category. That's not the Freedom Flex quarterly category, just a standard 24/7, January 1st through December 31st grocery category on some card. Just do it at this point. Seriously, what are you missing out on? Like, everyone else is doing it. Don't you want to be cool? Take it the hit. Amex, almost in the same vein, a direct with hotel bonus category. Yes, I know you can use their travel portal and get, up to 5, depending on which card you have. But what if I don't want to use the travel portal?
What about the green? The green is 3x direct hotel.
That's 3x travel. I want something like 5x hotel, kind of like 5x of flights on the platinum. That's what I'm referring to.
I gotcha. I wanted to make sure I was clear on that, because
that's valid. You are valid.
He wants the Autograph Journeys hotel multiplier on an Amex card.
To be completely honest, put it on the gold. So it's like 5x direct with airlines on the platinum, and then 5x direct with hotels on the gold. That just keeps making gold platinum a killer combo. Just going to be really real with it. I would like to see that from them. And I'm going to stop with Built, because those are the only 3 card and card issuers that I basically have between Amex, Chase, and Built. But you know what, Built? Give us a purpose that's outside of paying your roof and making 4 transactions. I can't find another reason. They have stripped themselves down to use the card for what we advertise the card for, and we'll just leave it at that. And I think they need to get back to where they used to be a couple of years ago, where it was like, mark my word, quote me on this. Remember, RJ, take a timestamp. I would actually recommend the Sapphire Preferred with the 100K offer right now over the Built card. That's how bad Built has gotten. If you're not, great card if you're going to use it to pay your roof. Not going to lie. It's a great card for that. Anything else, I can't really justify it.
I mean, I have the card. I use it on the first for the most part, and then anything on the straggler on the second. And that's because I'm trying to avoid being the 4 bananas crew. I actually want to put a spin on the card.
Yes. It's talking about the 4 bananas crew. If I had my editing software, I would do the travel hack and do the light show or everything behind me. Once again, you got to watch my videos to get that joke. But anyway, if there's something on Amazon that you want and it costs at least $25, on the first, you make 4 transactions for $5, and that, well, 3 transactions for $5 because you already have your roof paid for. And that 4th transaction, you don't buy another Amazon gift card. It's the last $5 to buy whatever you want. You bought one thing, got all your credits out of the way.
It's ridiculously diabolical.
I've been doing this for a very long time, y'all, and that one's for free. I'm not even gonna make a video on that one. We all buy something that's over $20 on Amazon. So you can just wake up, buy your $5, 2 hours later, buy another $5, and 2 hours later, by lunchtime, you already got $15 in there. Now go buy whatever you want. There's your 5 transactions on the first of the month.
Mileage plus X, $5 Apple things, buy a Game Pass to do something.
You want to know what?
This is
Amazon used to be a mileage plus X back in the day.
What?
And it obviously it was removed. I'm not going to say I'm sorry, but I'm not going to say you're welcome. But Amazon used to be in mileage plus X back in the day.
The Apple one I used and abused for my business green sub.
Oh yeah, I used to eat when Amazon was in there. I would just be in there buying Amazon gift cards like 3-4 times a day.
Gonna make a bold prediction.
Tell me that, Lani.
The Apple used to be in there, and so was the Google Play Store, so you could buy your gift cards.
Both of them are, because I've heavily used both of those in the last week.
But oh god, yeah, Amazon United probably realized how much of a mistake it was to have Amazon on there.
I think Amazon realized how much of a mistake it was to be on there.
What was it? What, 1 or 2 miles? 2 miles per dollar, probably. Even at
2 or 3.
3 miles per dollar on Amazon. Jesus Christ!
Oh yeah, I was in there cooking. Not gonna lie, I was in there cooking.
My God, yeah, Amazon. Good Lord.
That's why they lock you out for so long. They saw what you did.
They locked me out. I was in the worst form of pop-up jail for about half a decade. It was pretty bad.
Damn.
Now, bold prediction. I think the Mesa card is going to overtake Built as the it card for home-related anything, just because they seem to have a clue. And if they land transfer partners properly, like they get a solid enough list that has good redemption value, given everything else that they do on the card, 3x daycare now, 3x home improvements, 3x home related purchases, and all you have to do is spend $1,000 a month on the card. And yes, I know that $1,000 isn't a trivial number, but the requirement is you get your mortgage payment points just by spending $1,000 on the card and paying off the card. Like if they land transfer partners that work, they will be the new hotness, and Built will be left in the dust. Yeah, that might be a future video. Anyway, RJ, before any refreshes, or what sort of refresh or new release would you want to see from the major banks?
I need to figure out what Amex is doing with the everyday preferred, everyday, and the cash magnet. Like, I need them to either kill them and just be like, hey, we pulled these cards, they're not coming back. I need them to refresh them. I need them to do something. Because right now, Amex has 2 total cards that are cashback of any variety. They have the everyday and everyday preferred. That's it. That is literally the entirety of Amex's cashback system right now.
You mean the Blue Cash Everyday and Blue Cash Preferred?
Yeah, those. Sorry, you see how much I care about Amex's cashback offers. But yeah, no, they have those 2 cards and they're good cards. Like if you can use those categories, both of them are very good cards. Like if you are okay with statement credits, they're great, right? But they don't even have a 1.5 catch-all on the personal side. They have no elevated catch-alls on the personal side. You have to get the Blue Business Plus. Blue Business Plus is incredibly easy to get, but you shouldn't have to get a business card to have more than 1x catch-all. I really, because the Blue Business Plus is capped at 50,000. They could cap elevated at 20 or 25,000 on the personal. Like nobody would bat an eye at that. So it becomes something where they can control your redemptions up front anyway with the cap they put on it. I need to know if they're going to refresh the green, the business green. There's a couple of cards that just sadly need it. Their co-brands are all pretty strong. It's sort of their cards. I think we're going to get a platinum in 26, a refresh. So the 50-year anniversary can be a refresh year because I think they're going to want to go big for the 50th for the platinum, which means they have to do a smaller refresh before that, or it'll be too long a distance before they refresh it. So I'm interested to see what they do. They keep saying they're doing a bunch of refreshes. They're doing some overseas. They refreshed the gold last year. So I'm interested to see how that works. City, I just want a card that'll work with a mobile wallet that won't get you like thrown in their version of credit card jail. I need Capital One and Discover to figure out what is going on, if the government's going to let them actually be one company or not, so they can figure out their stuff. Because I think a lot of the holdup for Cap One is dealing with the Discover thing, and I think there are some changes necessary that they're just not making. Chase, I think Chase needs a fire lit under them of some variety, and I don't know. It's not going to come from within, right? It's going to come from Amex making some moves and Chase playing catch up. Or they're going to do the Emerald card or whatever they're going to call the card above the Sapphire Reserve. So I'm interested to see if they do anything or if they sort of ride 25, be very sort of safe, and then get to the end of 25 and see what they do. But I'm interested. I think it's going to be a very weird year. I want somebody to release just a weird card with like, I want like an Attune, but weirder. Like I want companies to do some weird things and just see what works. Bring back the Zinc cards, Amex. Don't be a coward.
Modular cards could be the way. Like, I would love to see any of the issuers, Wells, Capital One, Amex, Chase, City, any of you five. I would love to see one of you come out with a modular card. That would be cool.
Pipe dream, Matt. You gotta let it go.
I'd also like mobile wallet. For the love of God, just Amex, give me mobile wallet. I don't care what card it's on. I'll get it. I will product change. I will get the card. Just give me mobile wallet.
Mobile wallet category as well.
So I know it's a pipe dream, but yeah.
But
anyway,
one can dream. One can dream.
One can dream. Yeah. As you know, the tornado was just a dream. Anyway, I don't know why I'm trying to make that work. I'm not. Anyway, modular cards would be cool. US Bank. I'm going to start with US Bank. I want US Bank to stop drinking whatever they've been drinking for the last 6 months. It's not healthy, and they really need to just like sit in a corner and like contemplate all of their choices. Bad. Capital One, once they get the Discover merger finalized, which I think they greased the wheels enough that they are back on track apparently. So we'll see when that finally gets finalized. Then they have to kind of answer the question of, is the duo, could they make the duo better? And if they can, how? I don't have any major answers for that, just because beyond slapping an annual fee on the saver and raising the multipliers on the saver, I don't know what they do. Chase, somebody needs to steal their car and dispose of their dog, because it's a movie reference, Lani.
Oh, I know the movie. That's why I'm like, don't mess with people's dog, man.
No. Chase has been quiet enough that maybe their card needs to be stolen.
You know how over 4 movies, how many people died because of that dog? Don't mess with people's dog, man. And a 5th one soon to be released.
Prequel. Anyway, yeah, I don't know what Chase would have, what Chase could do, but like if Chase actually starts to cook, that would be interesting. Maybe we get the mobile wallet on the Sapphire Reserve or Sapphire Preferred that we so very desperately need. Uh, I want Built to just figure out customer service, first and foremost, and then figure out corporate communications, and then figure out their travel portal because stuff has happened there apparently. Yeah. Um, it's not great. American Express, just a consumer two times membership reward point earning card. That's all I want. That's all I want from American Express. And City, I don't know. Wells, just don't make Beyond suck and don't have and grow your transfer partner list. That's all I need from Wells. I don't even need a refresh. I don't even need a new card. Give me 4 or 5 more transfer partners before you do anything else.
JetBlue at 2 to 7.
2 Wells points to 7 JetBlue miles? Or are you saying
Just do something crazy. Just nobody flies JetBlue. Nobody's going to use that many miles. That's fine.
yeah, I'm up to 130,000.
And yet
start
you
looking.
haven't gotten on a plane this year.
Ooh,
I'm going to.
ouch.
We can't just dog on Tariq.
Honestly,
we gotta share the love.
I just figured I was just the stack your points lightning rod at this point. I've just grown just to get used to it.
Gotta spread the love. I'm getting on a plane in like 2 weeks, so
Welcome to Stack Your Points. I'm your host, The Gump. Or Jack Pumpkinhead. Take your pick. All right. Any other thoughts here on new releases, refreshes, anything like that? All right. We will continue our journey to Munchkinland with our news roundup. Wait, hold on. I have to do the outro. So, if you like what we do here with the questions, drop us a like and subscribe. Definitely drop a question using the question video on Fridays. We would definitely appreciate that. Check out the Stack Your Points Discord and the podcast questions section of the Stack Your Points Discord for leaving us questions, and we look forward to those. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching this week's episode. RJ, if we wanted to find you in the vast expanses of the internet, what is the best place for that?
you can find me in the Stack Your Points Discord saying math is dumb. That's my usual MO.
It is, in fact, but you've been a little off the math is dumb train of late.
Look,
You've done math a little
I've
bit.
got a bunch of
It's us.
clawbacks, so I'm having to do math to get Amex points back. I actually don't currently have an American Express personal platinum at the moment. It is a second green for reasons. If you want to know those reasons, join the Discord. We'll tell you about it there.
There you go. Heard it here first. Lani, if folks wanted to find you on the internet, where's the best place to do that?
I have a little corner on YouTube called Call Me Lani. It's CALLMELANI. And that is my YouTube channel. And if I'm not there, you can find me in the Stack Your Points Discord.
Fantastic. Tariq, best place to find you on the vast expanses of the internet?
In a corner somewhere. But aside from that,
Good answer.
the Stack Your Points Discord, avoiding our cent per point hell because I like math and that makes my brain hurt. Shout out to Spaithco and everyone else that is in there as active members, but that's just not me. And eventually dropping that YouTube video where now I got to find out if I'm going to be a grifter when I drop it.
Just stop. You're not dropping that video. I'm not going to allow this any longer. It's not coming out.
Just the Discord.
It's not
Sorry,
coming
y'all.
out. It's not coming.
Oof. Yeah, no, I don't even know how to reply to that one. That's rough.
It's like the little car on the DoorDash app that just keeps like going around the block, but never actually like makes it to your front door until you,
Oh, that's
Tariq-
the worst. Then they have to
Tariq
like
is in that car. He ate your food. So I'm just letting you know, just call customer service because it ain't coming.
Yo. This isn't just shots fired. This is buckshot fired.
And I
Lani
thought-
went hunting.
And that is how you call out a creator, Ramit Sadie.
That's true. That just happened. All right. Well, you can find me on the Matt Clausen YouTube channel. You can also find me on the Stack Your Points Discord. You can find me occasionally on my channel going live. You can find me on the Stack Your Points lives. That's going to be, or the Stack Your Lives, whatever we're going to call it, on Thursdays. We don't have a name for it yet. This week we've got Josh Giebel joining the live. It's going to be incredibly nerdy, incredibly fun. Please check it out. And yeah, if you want to leave a comment on any of our videos, please use the YouTube section for the YouTube videos for comments. You can join the Stack Your Points Discord, link always in the description. Drop us a like and subscribe here on YouTube if you like what we do on the podcatcher of your choice. Those episodes come out Saturday mornings. We would appreciate 5 stars, 5 hearts, whatever your podcatcher encourages to encourage discovery. We would appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching this week. We will see you next week, same time.